The stock Palantir just fell massively the other day, falling from $125 down to below $100 per share. Now, why is this? Well, two big factors. One being the CEO just sold over $1 billion worth of stock, and on top of that, the DoD, Department of Defense, is cutting budgets by 8% or roughly $50 billion. And this caused the stock to plummet to the downside.
Fucking shit.
Is it a good time to buy in? Let's look into it. Now, taking a look at the stock, you can see here that we have just fallen from this all-time high price point of $125 down to $96 before recovering back up to above $100. Now, we're talking about a stock here, if you look at the past several weeks, has been on a massive rally. We had earnings that caused the stock to run up from $70 all the way up to $125. But if we pull back even further, you can see that basically since about late October into November, the stock was at $40 per share. Ran from $40 off of earnings, jumped and ran all the way up to $80, pulled back, and then we saw a massive rally again off of the past earnings that happened at the beginning of February, causing it to hit $100 and $100 plus. But this is the first real big pullback we've seen with the stock. Some are saying it's extremely overvalued, some are saying it's still undervalued. Me personally, well, we're going to kind of dig into this and see whether or not it's actually over or undervalued. But me personally, I've been in this stock since about $15 per share, and I've been adding into this position since around COVID of 2020. So for me, I'm just taking this dip as an opportunity to watch people panic. But for a lot of you out there that maybe aren't into this one or are and are looking to buy in at a better price, we could be seeing the ideal and best time to purchase some shares of Palantir. Now, the CEO, Alex Karp, just came out and provided information saying that he's going to be selling 48.9 million shares, which could be worth up to $1.23 billion. This was a massive filing that was posted on Tuesday, and this caused the stock to plummet to the downside. And like I mentioned before, the Pentagon will pull 8% or roughly $50 billion over the next couple of years with the Trump administration in the office to cut from federal government spending on military, which is heavily impacting the stock Palantir, mainly because Palantir as a company is very, very reliant on government-made contracts. And you can see right here, roughly 55% of revenue is derived from government customers, and the majority of that government revenue comes from the U.S. government. Within the U.S. government revenue, the vast majority comes from the U.S. Army specifically. But on the flip side, we of course got a lot of strong bulls out there, and Wedbush being one of them, saying that Palantir is one of the top names to own in 2025, and their price target of $120 represents a nearly 13% premium to where the stock price is currently at right now. Loop Capital analysts were even more bullish on the stock, reporting a $141 price target, calling it a game-changing software stock. So obviously we have the bulls and bears fighting against each other in Palantir. Some people think this thing is worth no more than $15-20, while others think this could be $120 to $140 or even closer to $180 per share. Taking a look at our price targets, you can see it's clearly stated right here. We have low-end price targets from analysts all the way down to the $35 range. Average price targets are $91, and our high-end price targets are $141 plus. So we have quite a range of price targets from analysts. But diving back into the stock and looking at the stock chart, yes, I think it's extremely hot right now, and I think that that's something you really have to take into consideration, that like we saw with NVIDIA when it had its massive run, we saw a pullback. Like we saw over the years with Tesla, it had a massive run, it has a massive pullback. The more a stock goes up, the faster it goes up, the faster it comes back down. But to be clear, it doesn't mean it's going to crash and never come back. I see this as a potential buying opportunity if you have a long-term conviction and a long-term outlook on Palantir. Because in my personal opinion, I think that any dip on Palantir is great, and I've been saying that ever since we were back during COVID. I've been buying this little by little ever since COVID. Took a little bit of time off when it started to make its moves. When it pulled back, buy more, and that's called dollar cost averaging. Buying shares in a stock that you actually have conviction and good research done on anytime it dips and falls back down to a lower price point to help lower your average price in that stock. Now, Now, two ways to go about it. You could look at the short term and the long term. Short term, this is a great trading opportunity. Those looking to make a trade on this are loving this opportunity. We're seeing massive swings from 5, 6, 7, 8% in one day. We saw a massive flush to the downside on Wednesday afternoon, and then today, another flush in the morning followed by a nice little rally in the afternoon. A lot of opportunities to trade, and if we do pull this back over here, you can see that we have actually a nice support area on this 180-day SMA line down here on $90. We saw it bounce in the past. Let's see if we can hold this $90 area and see if we dip maybe a little bit more tomorrow and get close to that $90 area. I think the next area we got to watch for is to get back above 110. We saw this 110 area as a way of holding support here, and holding support here. So I think that $110 in the short term has to be broken above to get back into an upward rally. If we fall back below $110, I think you see this thing fall back lower to the downside, potentially falling back to 95. If we break through 95, you're going to see it fall down to 90. If you see it fall down to 90 and break below this red SMA line, which there's really not much other support here, at least in the short term, you're going to see a massive pullback to the $80 to $75 range. So keep that in mind. This one does have a lot more downside in the short term, but be careful trading this one because it's very, very volatile. Now, for the long-term investors, this is a wonderful opportunity. Taking a massive look at this stock chart, you can see this is just a small pullback in the grand scheme of things. We're talking about the stock that just in the past year has run up from $15, $16, $17 per share in January of last year to now over $125 per share. Insane moves in a 1 year from one stock. Now, they do rely on a lot of government contracts, but my personal opinion, and based on what I know about this company, we haven't heard anything different right now. The company is still expected to do and outperform what they are projected in the full year of 2025 and heading over the next couple years. This is still a strong performing stock, still reporting massive earnings, which is causing stock to run up massively. And in my personal opinion, unless we get some massive news that's actually changing the path or the actual numbers and revenue, earnings per share, anything more specific into the stock itself heading into the future, I don't see this as a negative in the long term. Yes, this is a short-term negative kind of scare tactic, and yes, it may affect some of their sales and revenue moving in the future, and it may cause them to lose some of those more long-term government contracts. But in the grand scheme of things, this little pullback is a great opportunity to maybe pick up some shares if you've been looking to get an entry on Palantir. I think that this has run up quite a bit, almost too much in my opinion, too quickly, and I think because of that, you see these massive pullbacks. So with that being said, if you're in it for the long term, let's see what happens here. If it starts to dip a little bit more and you're interested in buying some shares, or you're not into Palantir yet and you think that it may be too late, it's never too late if you truly believe that the stock that you're investing into is going to be a great stock in the long term. If you're looking 3 to 5 years, this little pullback might be the great and best opportunity you're going to get before another massive rally to $150, $200 potentially with this name. So with that in mind, if you're not in the stock yet, watch for a nice pullback. Watch this below $100. Watch it back at 90, maybe in the mid 80s. Start at a small position, add into that position little by little, add 5, 10, 15 shares here, add another 5, 10, 15, 20, however many, add a couple hundred, add however many shares you want to add as it starts to dip down. Because if you're going long term, in 5 years from now, your conviction on Palantir and those shares you bought now on the dip, those couple dollars don't make a difference in the long term. But with that being said, you do want to get a better deal to try and get that average price down so you're not paying $125 all-time highs for that stock. Wait for it to pull back maybe below $100, see what you get. Right now we're at around a 13% premium, so let's see what happens. But with that being said, let me know in the comments down below what you think about the stock Palantir. Let's continue to watch this one. I think it's a great opportunity for the long term, in my personal opinion, because there's a lot going forward with it, and it's in a very, very strong environment, and it's a strong company with a lot of upside potential. So guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think about the stock Palantir. Is it overhyped? Is it undervalued? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.